WWE are on quite the hot streak and they're doing it without some of their biggest names. It's time for an update on the return schedules of names like Becky Lynch, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Alexa Bliss, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, Big E, Jimmy Uso, Asuka, Dakota Kai and Logan Paul. This is going to be jam-packed and stick with me, I'll go rapid fire and give you an update on all of those individuals. A lot of this information is already available on Spoiler Warning, the live show, but for non-live viewers, let's start with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is someone who has a contract on the table and can return whenever she wants to the WWE. The WWE would have no issue offering her pretty much whatever she wants. There is talk of limited dates. There is talk of a hell of a lot of money. There's also the possibility, because Becky is a free agent, of interest from AEW, from TNA, and from other companies driving up the price. However, at this point in time, she's taking a break, and the expectation is that she'll return to the WWE. WWE Creative is said to be making plans for the return of Becky Lynch just after the turn of the year. We are talking around the Royal Rumble time for build and intrigue. WarGames is going to be focused on different people at this point, but there'll be space for Becky at the Wrestlemania card should she want to take it up. At current, with no actual contract signed, nothing is guaranteed, but WWE are preparing for life with Becky Lynch by the Royal Rumble. Brock Lesnar is next, and the Beast Incarnate doesn't look set to return to the WWE at all. There's been some mixed signals from WWE on this, Triple H in particular noting that if Brock Lesnar wanted to return, the door would be open. However, I'm told that's not entirely sincere. Brock's been very open about the fact that he doesn't want to work for a WWE that doesn't feature Vince McMahon at the top, and based on certain recent revelations or accusations, I should say, you might understand why he wants Vince McMahon at the top, and heads and tails and all that jazz. For those who want to see Brock Lesnar wrestling big names like Gunther, while Gunther wants that match as well, Brock Lesnar seems uninterested in a return, and WWE are not interested in a return to my knowledge either. Yes, there's money on the table, but Triple H is confident it's not money that they need to make when they're making huge gates like they did recently in Berlin. They will let him run down his contract quietly and will pay him until it expires, at which point, bye-bye Brock. TKO are not interested in bringing him into UFC either. Let's see if Dana White can convince them, shall we? Roman Reigns is next on the list. This channel was the first to report 2 months beforehand that he'd be returning at SummerSlam and interfering in the Solo Sikoa Cody Rhodes match. Well, it looks like there's going to be another Solo Sikoa Cody Rhodes match coming up at Bad Blood. Roman apparently looks set to return beforehand, but the advertising has been cut. He was internally being advertised for a return at the upcoming first SmackDown on the USA Network. That advertising was being locally done and has been pulled since. This is also exactly what happened at SummerSlam, so I suspect we're going to be seeing Roman very soon, well in advance, making sure that we do not get that Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa match, and also because we're kind of heading into WarGames pretty soon, and Roman Reigns needs time to build a team. The plan for WrestleMania is still Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns, and they're going to take a lot of time to get there. That seems set for WrestleMania, and while a lot of people are angry about it, they are killing enough time with WarGames and Royal Rumble still to come. And a Roman Reigns versus Cody match that seems also likely too. Alexa Bliss is up next. She's been out for a prolonged period due to maternity leave, and I did report previously the Wyatt Six would debut before Alexa Bliss returned, even though she was ready and preparing for a WWE return. She is now physically ready. She has been training and preparing and has been very open about that on her Instagram and on the old Twitter machine. Alexa Bliss wants to return soon. The Wyatt Six, however, are not physically in the storyline presence required to bring her in. I do think Bliss will return outside of the Wyatt Six to start with, but her main storyline will be Wyatt Six adjacent, so they need the storylines to line up. She is cleared, she is ready, they are waiting for the right storyline to bring her in, as they did many moons ago in the 2022 SummerSlam with Bayley. I reported 4 months before she returned that they were just waiting for the right storyline. It was confirmed by the Fightful paywall, and then you see what happened. Alexa Bliss I expect to see relatively soon once the Wyatt Six are ready for her. Seth Rollins is next, and this is an interesting one because he initially came back way ahead of schedule. The initial talk was that he would return around WarGames Royal Rumble time, similar to how Creative was planning for Becky, but Seth chose to return while still not 100% in order to help put Damian Priest over in what would be a short but hopefully memorable championship reign. Priest is said to be very grateful. The work that followed involved Seth not wrestling, but working as a special guest referee in the CM Punk Drew McIntyre match. That is because we're heading towards CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for next year's WrestleMania. Seth was not ready to compete. He basically only wrestled one match and then picked up, well, a continuation of his previous injury. He was written out due to a physical attack by Bronson Reed, knowing that he was still injured and it will be a little time before we see him again. I don't expect it'll be too long, but when it comes to actual wrestling, they're going to use Seth Rollins very sparingly, the same way they're using a CM Punk and a Drew McIntyre at the moment, to ensure that no injuries come his way. They did feel that they brought Liv Morgan back too early last year, and that's why she was out until the Royal Rumble. Thankfully, they used that time well, and so did she, to launch the revenge tour that would become the heel turn we've seen. So a new, interesting Seth Rollins I expect to see upon his return, and a little bit of revenge on Bronson Reed. Big as he is, the harder they fall. Charlotte Flair is up next. She's another one that's missing from the SmackDown division, and her return is one of the main reasons I expected Nia Jax to win the championship at SummerSlam. Now, Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair is being talked about, but in their history, it's been, shall we say, flammable. No, instead, there are currently rumours of a Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton match at WrestleMania to help the development of Tiffany Stratton. Stratton would be the champion at this point, having cashed in successfully on Nia Jax to get there. However, I'm told Charlotte Flair, while being near championships, will not be winning them for a while after her return. My expectation is that they're once again waiting for the storylines to fall into place. I expect Bayley to be rescued from a beatdown by Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax by Charlotte Flair, moving into a tag match that will mean that Charlotte Flair will be able to work with at least not 100% use of her leg. We do have Charlotte Flair coming back soon. There are big plans for WrestleMania. I expect her to return before WarGames. They were just waiting for Bayley to return. Now they start building to the Charlotte Flair return. Big E is an interesting one in that he is settling into life as a commentator and working on the kickoff shows. It is always going to be a risk for Big E to step back in the ring, and that is something that he has to be aware of. The New Day, Big E himself, have been quite open about this, and from what I can tell, with the risk in mind, Big E is just enjoying what he's doing with his life at the moment without that risk entailed. I think he may one day return to wrestling if he so chooses, but the WWE not making any plans involving Big E to my knowledge. It literally comes down to his decision, and it absolutely should. He's not being cleared. He's also not being medically retired. There will be a process required should he decide to return. But the WWE at this point are confident that he's not going to make that decision anytime soon. They're giving him the break he requires in order to make his mind up, and they're giving him plenty to do during his contractual term to ensure that he's still getting paid during that time. What I will say is that under Vince McMahon, this is not something that would have happened. He would have been written off, forgotten about, and gone unpaid for years. Under Triple H and under the new talent relations department, without any involvement from John Laurinaitis, I think the WWE are doing a very good job in Big E's corner here, and I give them credit and Big E credit for that connection. Jimmy Uso is next up. He's been missing since just after WrestleMania when he was eliminated from action by Solo Sikoa. We also saw that happen to Paul Heyman. We haven't seen him for a little while either, and this does hinge a lot on Roman Reigns. With this in mind, I do not expect to see Jimmy Uso return before Bad Blood. I do think we're going to get to Cody versus Solo once again, and once again Roman's going to get involved to make sure Solo doesn't get a chance at that championship. Jimmy Uso I do expect to see in WarGames on Roman's team alongside Jey Uso and Sami Zayn against the Bloodline, that being of course Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa and Jacob Fatu. That's what I'm expecting for WarGames. That means that after Bad Blood, when Roman starts looking for his team, Jimmy Uso will need to be there. And Uso's reunion is likely at that point. WarGames is going to be absolute hell this year in the best possible way. We go into the damage control segment now. Asuka picked up a knee injury before WrestleMania, and as reported here on the Tom Colohue channel, she was pulled from live events in order to assess the injury. They were looking for options that could still involve her at WrestleMania, and that's how the 6-woman tag came about, and it was very effective. After that, Asuka was essentially told, yep, you can take a break now, go away, get the surgery you need, and just spend some time recovering. There have been no plans involving Asuka since. I expect her to be cleared in the months to come. She's undergoing physiotherapy at the moment. She will likely feature in the Royal Rumble. It's just a case that the WWE are not rushing her. There is no need for Asuka right now. There will be as the year turns, but right now when it comes to damage control, there is more concern about Dakota Kai. Asuka is undergoing physiotherapy right now. We should see her in time for the Rumble. Dakota Kai, unfortunately, does not have the same positive outlook. While the knee injuries that she has been picking up aren't necessarily so serious as to continually require surgery, she is continually picking up knee injuries that are giving the WWE cause for concern. This is starting to be very similar to the reason that Samoa Joe didn't wrestle for the WWE for so long. Of course, with the amount of concussions that he had, the WWE eventually decided they had to stop taking the risk. This is also what is happening with Tegan Nox, a former tag team partner of Dakota Kai. So there are some serious concerns right now about whether Dakota Kai will be able to continue wrestling to the level and to the quantity that the WWE require. The knee injury shouldn't necessarily keep her out for too long, but it is a knee injury on top of another knee injury on top of another knee injury. The WWE at the moment are concerned and are looking to get a second opinion. Finally, Logan Paul. And Logan Paul works an extremely limited date contract and has been featured pretty heavily in the first half of the year. The WWE still expect to see Logan Paul back in the WWE, but likely it will not be this year. He may make the occasional appearance at a WWE event, but not necessarily on TV. Logan Paul will be back for the Rumble, will feature at WrestleMania. His contract has not expired, but the WWE, in particular Triple H, are looking to lose some of that Logan Paul heat for a little while, looking to slow down, looking to back off, and essentially looking to get away from that good old-fashioned transphobia, which has become a serious problem over the last few weeks. Logan Paul has a lot to be getting on with, a lot to be doing, and Triple H and Nick Khan want nothing to do with any of it. Becky Lynch, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Alexa Bliss, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair, Big E, Jimmy Uso, Asuka, Dakota Kai and Logan Paul. There's 11 updates on return schedule. If you want more information as to when we're likely to see Becky Lynch, what she's going to be doing and what she's likely to be doing at WrestleMania, as well as information on others such as a new contract for Kevin Owens, click the video on screen now.